All right, welcome everybody to the Cold Truth Podcast, where the addiction is chemical. I came up with that. Copyright Micah Hicks. And then this is my co-host Eli Macha. We're both from Macha PSM. We're both PSM consultants, and we frequent the IIAR and Rita shows. And one guy that always stands out to us whenever we go to either of those shows is our guest from Farley's Frigeration. Arlie Farley, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well, we're crazy honored, Arlie. I think you're a person to me that is a little bit larger than life. The first time I saw you, I was like, this guy, his name is Arlie Farley of Farley's Frigeration, and you have the personality to go with it. You have the swag to go with it. At these conferences, I just you leave an impression every conference we go to.
I appreciate that. I was going to say, if you want to make it worse, my God-given name or my parent-given name is Arlie B. Farley, B-E-E, like a bumblebee.
Okay. What's the story there?
The Arlie is after my grandfather on my dad's side, and the B is after my great-great-uncle on my mom's side. And Mom always told me that if I grew up to be half of what Uncle B was, I'd be something.
That's good.
And so the question as time progressed, the question was, well, what was Uncle B? And she goes, well, he was a hobo and he lived at the foot of the family graveyard. And I'm like, wow, really? But that was after he come back from World War II. He was a medic in World War II. Okay. And come back home and found his wife was cheating on him and had a nervous breakdown and lived in an 8-foot by 8-foot shack at the foot of the family graveyard and wanted for nothing and cared about. He cared about his whiskey and his dog. That was it.
Well, quite the namesake you have then.
It's a lot to live up to, Arlie. It's a lot.
Well, growing up, I hated it. I've grown into it and I love it now. I love it. I'm going to say the one story that I love telling about it is, my mother always told me about it is, I guess, one evening after pre-K or kindergarten, the teacher called the house and told my mother what happened that day. She said she couldn't scold me for what happened because basically I stood up for myself. So there was another kid apparently in class that was picking on me and teasing me about, what kind of name is Arlie Farley, who names their kids Arlie Farley, and Arlie Farley this and Arlie Farley that, and da-da-da-da-da. And apparently, according to the teacher, I stood up, put my hand on my hip, and I told him, I said, it's the kind of name's going to get your ass whooped if you don't shut up. And this was in kindergarten or pre-K. So it's been that way pretty much my entire life. It's just been, I've never been one to follow the path. I'm one to blaze my own trail. And if you don't want to know the answer to the question, don't ask me the question. Good, bad, right, wrong. If it's something that I don't want to answer to you, I'm going to give you 1 to 2 shots of me getting out of it. And I'm going to ask you, Eli, are you sure you want me to answer this? Right. And then when you ask me the question again, I'm going to go, now, Eli, here we go. Are you sure? And on the third time, if you leave kicking and screaming and crying, it's not my fault. I gave it to you. I gave you plenty of opportunity.
Fair warning. Well, just as by way of a little bit more intro, so is it president? Is that your title at Farley's Frigeration?
I think now with the Cold Core merge, they've got me as executive vice president.
Executive vice president. Okay. Can you just real quick? I know that I think your dad maybe started it. Could you give kind of a quick overview of the company?
Thousand foot glance. Yeah. At that. Dad was in the Navy. Just in the Navy. Actually, he went to the Navy because he was running moonshine in West Virginia, and all of his buddies were going to jail. So he was one of those deals of either go to jail or go in the service. So he chose the service. He got they said something about a 6-week leave to go shore and have a refrigeration course. So he went for his 6-week refrigeration course, and it just hit natural. So he fell in love with it. Got out of the Navy. At that time, Mom was working at a little cold storage warehouse, or not a cold storage warehouse. I think it was Morton Frozen Foods. And she'd been there forever working in the Mario freezer line. And he went up and he told her, he said, I'm going to get a job at Morton's Frozen Foods, and I'm going to start making more money than you are. And she was like, there's no way in hell you can do that. And he's like, I'm going to. So after he went in there and he basically told him what he wanted, and they said, we can't afford that. And he made a bet. He told him, he said, look, I'll make a deal with you. I'll work for you for 1 week for free. If you like what I do, pay me what I want. If you don't, we part ways and you don't owe me a dime. So after that week, he got what he wanted.
Wow.
You know, he was working there at Morton Frozen Foods, and some of the FES guys come in. And so he would follow the FES guys around and talk to them and da-da-da-da-da. Long story short, he went to work for FES. Was a traveling service guy for FES. Actually come to Florida on a service call. And the service tech down here at Filbert Corporation had a heart attack. So they didn't have a service guy. And so they called back up there and said, hey, what do you have for this guy? What do you have for this guy, Farley? Well, we don't have anything. Well, if you don't have anything for him to do, we want to rent him. We want to pimp him out. And so he hung out for about 2 weeks, and they offered him a job. And he called back up to to Pennsylvania and said, my mom was up there with my brother. And he said something about they've offered me a job down here in Florida. And she's like, well, what's the weather like? He said, I don't know. It's dead of winter. It's 70 degrees and sunny. She said, I got snow up to the crack of my ass. And she said, I got the baby. So she basically loaded my brother and my grandmother in a Volkswagen Beetle and moved from Pennsylvania to Florida.
Wow.
Just totally had nobody. Just a total change of everything.
Right.
And he worked for Filbert Corporation for about 7 years. And Farley's Frigeration really started over a nickel. The story behind it was everybody company-wide got a nickel raise, and he didn't get a nickel. And so he went into the president of Filbert Corporation's office and said he wanted his nickel. And the president of Filbert told him, he said, Farley, you're making more money than me now. He goes, I do more work than you. I want my nickel. How do you give a nickel company-wide and skip me?
Right.
Now, we're talking 1978. And so he come home and he was pissed. And apparently he vented his frustration and said he was just going to start his own business. Well, he went back out on the road and finished doing whatever it was he was doing and come back a couple weeks later. And when he come back a couple weeks later, my mother set him down and said, okay, here we go. Articles of incorporation are here. Bank accounts here. The only thing we don't have is a name. And he was like, excuse me? She goes, you said you were going to start a business. Let's do it.
Wow.
So at that time, house was paid for, bills were paid for, owed nobody nothing. And so they mortgaged the house to start the business.
Wow.
And bought his first load of equipment. Now, what gets to me is what kind of a set of stones do you have to have having a 5-year-old and a 13-year-old in your house with a known paycheck every week to break off and start your own?
Wow.
It's deep.
Right.
And so the legal name of it became Farley's SRP Incorporated. Our legal name was Farley's SRP, and it stood for screw, rotary, and piston.
Okay.
The 3 types of compressors he wanted to service.
Right.
But it wasn't, as the story goes, it wasn't 6 months to a year that we got the slang name of Farley's Frigeration.
I see.
Because we're down here in the South, and we call things different. I always tease everybody. I ask them, I said, what's that big metal box in your kitchen that you keep your milk, your eggs, and your beer in? What is it, Eli? What do you call that?
Fridge.
It's a refrigerator. It's a refrigerator. It's not a refrigerator. It's a refrigerator.
Right.
So, and as time progressed, it just became Farley's Frigeration. So we run under the slang name of Farley's Frigeration for all those years. And then when this cold core thing came up and we made the merge with them, it's actually Farley's Frigeration now for the first
You
time.
codified it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'd like to actually, share whatever you want to, but I'd love to hear the story of Cold Core. I know that happened a few months back, and so, how did it start, and how's it going so far?
Back it up. My brother's 8 years older than I am. So he started to want to cycle down. I did. He was wanting to slow down. I don't. I want to go. I mean, this industry for me it's a passion. This is what I do. This is what I love, and this is, I don't know, this has made me a life. And so I love it. And if you truly love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. And honestly, I can tell you 98% of the time I love my job. 2% of the time it sucks.
Right.
And so he come to me one day and he's like, look, he said, I want to slow down. I'm like, but I don't. And he's like, well, whatever. And so we made a couple phone calls and had somebody come out to basically give us a business evaluation to what's the business worth.
Right.
So I could buy it from him. Well, they wanted a stupid amount of money to do an evaluation. Well, right around that same time, there was one of I call them headhunters called, and got people looking for businesses in your area. And I looked at my brother and I'm like, we can get a free evaluation. We ain't got to pay for it. They'll tell us what it's worth. And so we started with them and started talking with them, and then somebody else came and we started talking. We were talking with both of them for a while, and I actually picked the phone up, and I'll name drop on this one because it doesn't bother me. I picked the phone up and I called Brian Wilkins with All Temp Refrigeration, knowing All Temp did the cold core thing back in 2020. And I've been friends with Brian Wilkins for many, many years. And I mean, when they first started All Temp, we started started selling parts and started doing things for them. And so I called Brian and I said, what did you miss? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, when you sold, what did you miss? What did you forget? Did you get enough vacation? Did you get enough? What did you miss? Because just like in everything, you're going to miss something. There's going to be something. And he said, honestly, I didn't miss anything. And so he said, if you're seriously considering this, let me put you in touch with my cold core guy, and let's talk. And I'm like, talking's free. One of my other little stupid sayings I tell everybody is, I'm married. I've been told no before. I mean, seriously, you never know till you ask.
That's right.
So the cold core guys come down here, and we're sitting out here in the warehouse, and they're like, what is this? What are your plans? And my brother said his plans were about another 5 years. He wanted to start cycling down. They asked me what my plans were. I'm 52 years old. I said, honestly, straight up, as long as there's no BS, I can see another 20 years.
Right.
And now I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to jump lanes for a second. The old man that hired my dad, Larry Kelly, out of Orlando. Larry Kelly was he was a crotchety old man. I mean, straight up, you may have to censor this, but I called him a crotchety old. He was just that dude. And every time I was in Orlando, I had to stop and see Larry. I just had to. It was one of my things because I knew that he wasn't going to live forever, and I knew that, hell, he held me when I was 3 days old.
Oh, wow.
So the connection was there. And so we walked out of his office one day and got in the truck, and my brother looked at me, and I said, man, one of these days. He goes, what? I said, one of these days, I'm going to be that crotchety old man. I'm going to be that crotchety old. And my brother looks at me and he goes, all you got to do is get the old part. You've got everything else.
Everything else is nailed down, huh?
Yeah, he said, you've nailed everything else. So, back to the cold core thing. They, sitting out here talking to them, they're like, and I gave them the 98 and the 2%. They said, well, what do you like about business? I said, well, I like troubleshooting. I like selling parts. I like talking on the phone. I love conferences. I love getting up and speaking in front of people. I love training, and I love the people of our industry. I love the people. And he goes, what don't you like about business? I said, I don't like insurance, sales tax, workman's comp. And I'm not going to drop it, but I'm going to say effing COIs. Certificate of Insurance is the bane of my existence. I cannot stand COIs. I want to strangle somebody over COIs. And being the company we had an insurance audit every year, and every year I had to chase COIs. And it was just, oh. And he goes, well, what would you say if I told you we could give you more of what you like, and we'll take all that stuff you don't want off your plate? And I'm like, I'm listening. Talk.
Right.
Speak.
Right.
And so that's pretty much how it all went down, and then, we went back and forth with different things, and, we're still hashing out a lot of it. There's still a lot of how do we do things now that we belong to a bigger company? How do we do things? You got to let me take the leash off me and let me be me.
Right. Right.
It was, I don't know, probably just a couple months in, there was a conversation with one of the cold core guys. I said, look, I've been a feral cat for all these years, and now y'all want to bring me in the house.
Right.
You don't bring me, I'm a feral cat. You don't bring me in the house.
Yeah.
And he come back and he said, no, Arlie. He said, we don't want to bring you in the house. We want to feed you on the back porch. I'm like, I'm cool with that. I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you feeding me on the back porch. I said, but don't think I won't go get a rat or a squirrel and bring it up here to the back porch so you can see I went out and hunted on my own.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so it's been good. It's been good so far. I think I was gonna say, what's my count? My count so far with my new boss, Jim, is 11. I've talked to Jim 11 times since the 1st of January, and I initiated 5 or 6 of those calls.
Okay.
Right. It's been good. I could tell you that here 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I got something about sales tax. It come in on the email, and when it come in, it was just like, man, really, sales tax? And I go, oh yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. So it was forward, send, delete.
Right.
And it was just like a wave come over me of like, that's not my problem. That's somebody else's problem. I will tell you that one of the other cold core guys go, did you check with her and see if she did that? I go, no. They're like, why? It's not my problem. I'm not doing sales tax. That's somebody else. That's not me. I don't want to use that old excuse of not my job, but not my job. I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not doing sales tax. I'm not doing COIs. You can send me a COI and I'll forward it to other people. If they don't like it, that's between you and them. I have nothing to do with that.
Right.
Because if the dates are wrong or something, you do them, Eli. You know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
With auditors, you do. I don't know. I got a subcontractor. You do 2 jobs, one in the beginning of April and one in June, and their insurance runs out in between there. So now you got to have 2 years, and you got to make sure that you have the workers' comp and the automotive, and just it was just that one that was just my kryptonite.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I do have a question about. So I think primarily you all were a service business, but it seems like recently you guys have kind of blown up on the parts side, and that's become more of a national thing, or not recently, but that seems like a big part of your business. I'm just curious to learn about
15 years. About 15 years ago.
Yeah.
About 15 years ago, we were doing a decent amount of service here in the state of Florida, and I'll relate it back to, I always tease and I say that we hooked our train car to the Rita train at the right time. So we got involved with Rita. It was all. I blame a lot of it on Rita. It's it had a lot to do with that. And about 15 years ago, I saw a shift in things and decided to be able to fill the open spots for the little contractor. You get the guy who starts off and he's working with one of the big names. When he breaks off on his own, he doesn't have any buying power. He goes to the big OEMs to buy, and the big OEMs as a new company, they hit you with a super high multiplier.
Okay.
Well, I found out that I've got a decent low multiplier, so I could be able to sell to him for a little tiny markup, and keep him competitive against the big boys, you know? And then it's funny because I always tease about splinters. So you've got the big tree, you've got the big tree, and it splinters off with 3 guys. I'll say 3 guys splinter off and start a company. But when those 3 guys run for a while and there comes a dispute on those 3 guys, it splinters into 3 more companies. You know, and then it just keeps splintering.
Right.
And so we started I'm not going to say that we started it. It was just something, the parts thing, and just filling the niche for people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, just becoming the one-stop shop.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll back up and I'll say it's a one-stop shop with a refrigeration knowledge.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, for many years I was out there. I was a service tech. I was pulling wrenches. So I mean, you ask me about a valve, I don't know the part number of the valve, or I don't know what part numbers go in the valve, but I know the valve and I know how it works. You know, and it's not only me, it's, you know, me, my brother, and, you know, some of our team. Yeah. You know, hell, I've got my parts room manager. He's, oh my God, he's hell's built 66, 67 years old. He's been doing this stuff for 40 plus years.
Wow.
He may not know the part number, but he knows the part. He can pick it up and look at it and tell you, oh yeah, that's an 1.25" S4A flange socket weld.
Right.
Yep. You know, where there's a lot of people out there that if you don't have a part number, they don't know what you're looking for.
Yep. No, that's super helpful.
Like, I would relate it. It's like going to one of the big automotive places that's in your town. I won't name any name, but you go to that automotive place and you're looking for windshield wipers. And the first thing they want to know is, what vehicle do you have? Is it 2-wheel drive? Is it 4-wheel drive? What engine? It's a set of windshield wipers, man. Come on. You know,
right.
I mean, I literally just did this 2 weeks ago. I was working on a trailer at my shop, and I needed a wheel seal and dust cap and a lock washer for it. So I went down here to the local big automotive place, walked in, had my stuff, and they're like, "What is this?" It's a trailer. And he started looking it up in the book, and I mean, he was literally looking up stuff on Amazon in front. And I'm like, "Damn, dude, I could have done that at the house. I want this today. I don't want it tomorrow. I want this now." And I'm like, "Just give it here. Just give it here." And I went over to my local, I'll give a prop to it, Eustace Auto Parts. It's a little mom and pop's auto parts house. Walked in there, laid my rag on the table, opened it up. Dave, the son of the guy who started Eustace Auto Parts, looked at it and goes, "Oh, okay, how many do you want?" I said, 2 of each. He goes, "Oh, okay." Wow. And he just went and got them. And all I could think of is when I left there, I called my brother on the phone. I'm like, going to Eustace Auto Parts reminds me of sometimes people calling me looking for stuff. I may not know exactly what it is or have a part number, but tell me what it is. Send me a picture. Let me see it.
Right. Yeah, that's super valuable, and that experience it makes a big impact on just the customer experience.
You can't buy experience. You got to have it.
100%. Well, you touched a little bit on Rita, and I do want to learn a little bit about that. You know, you guys have had a pretty strong relationship with Rita for a while, and I'd love to learn about, you know, how that started, and what, you know, what does Rita mean to you guys?
Oh man, 2005, IIAR was in Orlando. Jeff Welch was president of IIAR. He gave us a call and he said, "Hey, why aren't y'all exhibiting at IIAR?" And I don't know nothing about it. And he's like, "Well, it's right here in Orlando. You should go." So we had about 3 weeks and we set up a little 10x10 booth at IIAR. No clue what we were doing, how we were doing. I mean, nothing. Just absolutely lost. Had a good time, enjoyed ourselves, met a lot of people. Things picked up a little bit from it. Well, that same year in 2005, Rita was in Jacksonville. So we got a hold of them. We set up a booth. We started, and it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like we were at home, because the people at Rita, I don't know, for lack of better terms, they're my kind of people. They're the boots on the ground, the greasy hands, the mechanics, the guys that I can hold a conversation with.
Right.
I mean, hell, Eli, you can't have a Thanksgiving dinner with your family and your wife's friends over and talk about work because they have no clue about what you do for a living.
Right.
None. They're oblivious to the world.
Right.
And for a service guy, it's worse.
I bet.
I mean, you just can't tell somebody that they're making, I don't know, 1,000 bottles of Pepsi Cola a minute on 3 different lines, so they're doing 3,000 cans or bottles a minute, because the normal person can't even fathom 1,000 cans. Okay. They think they're almost somebody there sitting there hand making them one at a time. No, that stuff's flying by faster than you can see it. And so we got involved a little bit more with Rita, and things progressed. And once again, I lay a lot of it on Julie Mower Payne. I'll name drop her to the end. She was the conference manager, and she helped with this, and right now even name drop Stephanie Date from Rita National. She's the conference manager right now. Stephanie, I've thanked Stephanie so many times for making me look good, and told her she had a hell of a time doing it, because it's one of those help me. Not only help me, but here, I want to be involved. Let's do this.
Right.
Getting involved with them, putting on classes, getting up doing some training. I will tell you, first time I ever got up in front of the mic, I was scared to death.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't say a word. I was locked. There was nothing I could say. But as time progressed, I got a little bit better. I don't remember what year it was. We were sitting at the awards banquet, and my wife was there, and the past president got his jacket, and I looked at my wife and I said, I want one of them jackets. She said, well, go get it. I go, you can't go get it. You can't buy that jacket. That jacket has to be given to you. You have to earn that jacket. She goes, well, go get it. I said, well, it's going to take time away from business. It's going to take time away from family. It's going to take time to do that. And she goes, all right, go get it. And never really thought that I would ever own. I never thought I'd have one, And hell with it, we're talking about Rita. Received a call from Jim Price Sr. one day, and he said, Arlie, would you be willing to serve time on the Rita board? And I'm like, yeah, I would. He goes, well, do you own a suit or a sports jacket? I go, no. He goes, well, it'd be nice the night of the past president's dinner or the awards banquet if you were in a suit or a sports jacket. I go, okay. And Jim Price Sr. is a preacher, so. And of course, me, I'm very open. I'm very blunt. I'm to the point. I said, Jim, I have enough business couth that I'm not going to show up in a pair of flip-flops and a tank top. But let me ask you a question. I said, it was in a movie. It was a quote. I don't remember the name of the movie, but I remember the quote. I said, do you know what's funny about that little white speck on the top of chicken shit? He goes, what? And I said, it's still chicken. He goes, what does that mean? I said, well, that means you take a chicken shit man, you put him in a suit, he's still chicken shit. I said, now I have to ask you a question. Is Rita ready for me? You're asking me, am I ready? Is Rita ready for me? He goes, well, your name's been thrown in the hat for like 3 years in a row, but due to a board imbalance, we couldn't bring you on as a contractor. I said, well, I mean, because I'm telling you straight up, if you want a yes man, I'm not your guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you want somebody that's going to follow the path that everybody else is following, I'm not that guy. If you want somebody that's going to rock the boat and stir things up, I'm here. And he goes, well, we want that. I'm like, okay, you got it. And so I did my 3-year on the regular board. We were finishing a regular board meeting, and then I got the ask to move up to XCOM. And I want to say it was Jamie Price and Lee Pyle that asked me to move up to XCOM. And very, very humbling. I always tease about there's no way I should be in the crowd with those guys and gals. There's no way. I mean, it's me. Come on, man. I'm a mechanic. I pull wrenches for a living. Why me?
Were you in that kind of top role? Was it 2018? Does that sound right?
I was 2019. I was president.
2019. Okay. God, I was trying to place it.
2019 president, 2020 during the COVID year, I was chairman of the board. Cycled off right after that, and then I think it went 4 years or something, and then and there again I tease about this is the guy that I nominated to the executive committee to become president nominates me back to come back to the RETA board because they had one of the guys changed positions and moved out of the refrigeration field after only 1 year. So I've come in and filled his 2-year term.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was hired back by the guy that I hired, so I'm not real sure how that worked out. But
That's great.
my wife has teased that she's told me that I'm going to make another run for presidency.
I'm here for it, Arlie.
I don't see it, but she says she sees it. So,
well, kind of speaking of IIR and RETA, people remember you a lot of it is because of your swag. So I got to ask, what's your favorite? What's the best swag you think you've ever had?
The best swag, in my personal opinion, straight up the condoms.
Dude,
he told me before the thing that you had them, and I was like, I don't remember seeing that.
I've had more fun out of the condoms. I probably got one here in my desk. I know I do. I've got the desk of no return. The desk drawer of no return. I know I got one in my desk drawer. Yeah. It woke me up one night. I've got a very sick and twisted mind. And so putting our logo on a condom and putting the words around it, if you're not dealing with Farley's, you're going to need this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember what year it was, but we were in South Carolina. For anybody that's a NASCAR fan, Junior Johnson was there at the conference. And he was actually signing autographs. And Junior Johnson was an old moonshine runner from the hills of North Carolina and just one of them straight up cool dudes. So I'm standing in line to get an autograph from Junior Johnson. So I'm literally standing in line. The person leaves in front of him, and Junior Johnson's assistant comes up and says, Mr. Johnson, here's that thing you're looking for. And he hands him one of my condoms. And he looks at it and he's, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. He sticks it in his front pocket.
That's all.
And I pull up, I go up there and he autographs my cup. In fact, I got a cup back here in the back behind my shelf, autographed by Junior Johnson. And I said, Mr. Johnson, I said, that thing you just put in your pocket. He goes, yeah, whoever did that, they're a pretty funny person. I go, well, that was me. He goes, really? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what made you think of that? I said, I have no clue. It just came to me.
It's the way your mind works.
I always tease, I tell everybody there's two kinds of people out there. There's closet perverts and then there's open perverts.
Yeah.
And there's the closet pervert that they're really that way, but they don't want to tell anybody about it. And then there's the people that, here I am,
There you go.
and
That's so funny. Well, this is Arlie. What we're seeing right now, like this is what you bring to our industry. That's amazing. Is I can get up there and talk about process safety information for an hour, and everyone's asleep at the end of it. But you have that mixture of education and entertainment, the edutainment, right? And I tell people every time, if they're new to RETA, I say you have to go to Epic Fails. Half of it is going to be super educational, and half is a stand-up routine by Arlie Farley himself, and you can't miss it.
I was going to say, hell, let's talk about the first time we met, Eli.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you better tell that one.
The second slide in any of my presentations is basically, if your phone rings, I'll gladly accept a $100 donation from you. Because as a speaker, your phone ringing resets your brain and just throws you off track. You're kind of, if you've done it a couple times, you kind of know the layout, you know where you are, you know your timings, and you do those things. And a cell phone ringing just changes my whole world. It just resets my brain. And so Eli, you had a phone ring in one of my presentations, and you came up, and long story short, you became a Rita, what was it, a Rita Hart member that day.
That's right.
And you get a cool thing for your name badge. Phone rang, cell phone club.
Mhm.
It happens. And the story about that is I was at I don't know, it was a Rita or an IIAR, and I can't remember Dennis. I can't remember Dennis's last name. He worked for Frick for a while, and he started his talk off that way. And when we got done, I asked him, I'm like, Dennis, can I steal that? And he's like, go for it. And so it's now become, hell, I was going to say there's a handful of people that call it the Arlie Farley rule.
I got to start my presentations that way. It's excellent.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I'm the first member of my own club.
That's right.
I mean, literally Atlanta, Georgia, putting on a valve hands-on training with Brett Swanson from Cool Air Mechanical. And probably 5 minutes into the talk, my cell phone rings.
Oh,
I stop what I'm doing. I just pick it up, and it's my wife. And she says, "Hi, honey. What are you doing?" I said, "Teaching a class." She said, "Did you silence your phone?" I go, "Nope." She goes, "You're welcome," and she hangs up. And so I know that Brett just had a new granddaughter within months of the conference. And so literally right there at the conference, I mean, in the middle of the class, I said, Brett, you had a new granddaughter, didn't you? He goes, yeah. And I pull my wallet out, and I pull a $100 bill out, and I pop it. I said, here, start her a bank account. He goes, excuse me? I said, start her a bank account. He goes, how can you do that? I'm like, dude, if I can't be responsible for my own rule, how can I claim anybody else's?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you get everybody else if you can't be responsible for it?
Right.
And so it was probably 2 or 3 years later, 4 years later, I'm in Minnesota at a safety day doing a talk, and Brett's phone rang. So I got my $100 back from Brett, but it's just something to be mindful that if you're in the crowd, silence your phone, be respectful.
Right.
If you're up there doing the talk, first off, you're nervous. And if you're not nervous, you're not doing it right. The nerves kick in. I mean, okay, Eli, what do you do? What is your pre-talk ritual? What do you have? Do you have a pre-talk ritual?
Yeah, I have to go through my slides, kind of think about transitions, and kind of just I have to cycle through. And the more I prepare, the more calm I am.
For me, I put my earbuds in. I got 2 or 3 songs that I listen to, and it just puts my head. I don't know. It puts my head in the right spot.
Right.
I mean, I'm a music head, man. I'm a product of the 80s, the MTV generation. I love music.
Right.
I mean, hell, I'm gonna put you on a spot on your own podcast. All right, heavyweight fighter, Madison Square Garden, sold out arena. What song are you walking into?
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a great question.
Ooh.
I'll say "Bad to the Bone." That's the first song that comes to my mind.
Okay, Bad to the Bone. All right. For me, you may have to bleep this out depending upon your audience. But I always tell everybody, Kid Rock, you never met a mother quite like me.
Oh, Kid Rock. That's awesome. Okay, Micah, you're on the hot seat here.
Probably Highway to Hell.
That's a good choice.
Highway to Hell. AC/DC.
Micah is the more music adept of the two. You go to concerts like every other month, I think. So.
But I'm just a kid, so I just walked out of diapers and showed up here, so I listen to all the new stuff.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, if you went to it, if you knew AC/DC, me and you could be friends.
Okay, all right.
We're okay with that. We're good with that. I mean, I'm a huge Kiss fan. Huge. I mean,
okay.
First concert I ever went to was Kiss and Ted Nugent.
Oh wow.
I mean, was actually in New York, Madison Square Garden for Kiss's last show.
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Actually, it was I'm going to say they did two nights. So we did the night before the last night.
Okay.
And my wife was supposed to go with me, but something come up and she couldn't go. So I took my daughter and we had a daddy-daughter weekend in New York and went to Kiss at Madison Square Garden. you know,
That is awesome.
I mean, but if you're a music head, what's the best concert you ever been to, Mike? What's the one? What's the Super Bowl of the concerts you've ever been to? I mean, I know this is your podcast, but
no, this is great.
Well, it's funny when I get to go on trips and go visit facilities and do audits and stuff like that. Whenever I have free time, I try to find a show or something to go to. I tell this story to people, just kind of fun. So there was a show that was happening in Chicago for Post Malone and Jelly Roll. And there's a couple other people, Sierra Farrell, and so pretty big show, big deal. But I'd already seen Post Malone in concert in Nashville, and I was in like nosebleed seats, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go again. Like it was fun, but I've seen it in nosebleed seats. I'm not gonna go if I'm getting nosebleed seats. So I'm gonna get a ticket right up at the front. So I look at how much they cost, and they're like $1,000, and I'm like, no way, I'm doing that. So I just forgot about it and, went and did the thing. I was at some facility in Chicago. I finished up a day early, and I'm just exploring downtown Chicago. And I'm walking by Wrigley Field, which is where the show is at. And there's a big banner. It says Post Malone and Jelly Roll. And I'm like, oh, man, that show's tonight. So I pull up StubHub, like resale tickets. It was about 2 hours before the show. And I'm like, let's just see what happens. So I looked, and there was a ticket. One guy was selling his ticket right up at the front for $200. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I grabbed it. Right away. And then the coworker I was working with, I'm like, peace out, dude. I'm gonna get an Uber to the airport after this. Like, I'll see you later. And I went there, and I tell you, man, it was the craziest, most fun show. It was. Everyone was losing their minds, and it was like really cool. I just got to be right up at the front, like
Jelly Roll puts on a good show.
All time.
Good show. I'm a concert goer, but I'm a side, front row on the side. Don't put me on the floor.
Yeah.
I pay my money for my seat. I want to use my seat. I got bad knees, and and my wife's got a bad back, so I want to be able to use my seat, and I don't want no idiot standing in front of me. But put me on the side. Put me there. For me, my Super Bowl of shows. I mean, I'm a Kiss fan. I've been to pretty much every Kiss show since I was 14 years old.
Wow.
I mean, my first Kiss show. I just went to go spend the night with my friend, and his mom took two 14-year-old boys to Jacksonville, dropped us off at the Jacksonville Arena to go see Kiss and Ted Nugent, and said, meet me here on the steps. And so 2 a.m. we're sitting on the steps in front of the Jacksonville Arena. But long time ago, but we're sitting there on the steps. Jacksonville PD walks by and says, what are you boys doing? Waiting on our ride? Oh, okay. And they just walked on by. Yeah. His mom showed up. She went to the dog track, was about half drunk, drove us home. My mother had no clue I went to the Kiss show. No clue. It was probably 6 months before my mom died. She died in 2014. And I told her, I come clean on that. But for me, my favorite show was Eric Clapton, Madison.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was in Madison Square Garden. It was one of those, and it was over my anniversary weekend.
Wow!
And so I got my wife, and we flew to New York. We went and did a Broadway show Friday night. Got up Saturday, did some of the touring stuff, did the Clapton show Saturday night, and come home on Sunday. So it was a quick trip, but it was great.
That's legendary. Yeah. There's that performance of Layla. Can't remember what stadium what show that was. It was just incredible.
Oh, he put on. There was no theatrics. There was no laser lights. There was no fog. There was no. It was him and the band. And the coolest part about it was he brought out a folding chair and his acoustic guitar.
No way.
Awesome.
And it was just 45 minutes of Clapton and his guitar.
That's awesome.
And that one sets in the back of my mind as my number one show.
Well, Arlie, as we kind of come to the end of the hour here, this has been as productive of a conversation as I hoped it would be, in that I had no idea which direction it was going to go, but I knew it would be fun along the way. So to put a bow on it at the end here, I'd love to ask you, just as kind of an expert in parts.
Never an expert. I'll be a professional. I will never be an expert.
There we go.
Because as my daddy used to say, if you take the word expert and you break it down, an X is the has been, a pert's a drop of water. I do not want to be an expert. I want to be a professional.
You got it. As a professional in the ammonia refrigeration parts specialty, what is something that you wish the industry would know about ammonia refrigeration parts?
I don't know how to answer that one. You're almost stumping me there, because it's honestly, some of the basics. I wish they would know the difference between a globe and an angle valve. Because
So-
you get people that call and say, I want a 3-inch globe angle. I'm like, well, do you want a 3-inch globe or do you want an angle? I'm like, it can't be both.
Okay, so I was at an EPA inspection, and they brought this guy. I won't drop his name. Who was supposed to be the ammonia refrigeration expert. Okay, and we're walking around in the machinery room. I've never been a technician. I've always just been a consultant. But they go around, and it wasn't just him. He brought like several chemical engineers that were in training to join the EPA or something. And he goes, what is this valve? And I said, that's a globe valve. Like, this is on the discharge line, whatever. And then he goes, what about this one over here? I was like, that's an angle valve. And he goes, how do you know it's an angle valve? And I was like, I didn't know how to say it without being rude. I was like, it's at an angle. So, and I was like, you're the expert? Like, you guys are toast, man.
How do you know it's an angle?
I'm building a building on my property. So I'm building myself a shop. I've always wanted my own shop. I've wanted my own place to piddle with cars, trucks, lawnmowers, whatever I wanted my own. So she got me a sign for the front door of it, and it says Arlie's Garage. I can fix everything but stupid.
There you go.
And where you get an EPA guy asking the difference between a globe and an angle, there you go. It's just, I hear that probably 1-2 times a month. And it's just that little simple, just something simple, pay attention, read, be safe, and remember that everybody's got somebody to go home to. You got a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a mom, a dog, a cat. There's some reason that you want to go home.
Well, Arlie, if people wanted to kind of, follow along with you or learn more about Farley's Refrigeration, just go ahead and plug. Like, where should they learn more about it?
I was going to say, where aren't we? Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I think we've got what do they call it, the X or TikTok, whatever that is. We've got one of those. Wow. In fact, right now we've got something running on LinkedIn where we're trying to gain more followers on LinkedIn. So basically, if you follow Farley's Refrigeration on LinkedIn, you get entered into a drawing at the end of this month. We're going to give away a set of Dan Foss service wrenches, and I'm going to custom laser engrave your name on them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you're going to get a custom set of Dan Foss service wrenches at the end of somebody's going to get them at the end of the month. We're trying to get more followers on LinkedIn. I post I do a lot of stuff on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of people. There's a lot of people that ask me about my dog. I got a 135-pound Great Dane.
Holy!
She comes to work every day. Bubba, come. So she comes to work with me every day. Come. Hey, Bubba. Hey, come. You gonna say hello?
Oh my Lord!
You gonna say hello?
Oh. That's a big dog.
So she comes to work. She comes to work every day. I got truck drivers that stop just to pet her. And that's Christmas bells on the door of the office. She rings the bell when she wants to go out and go potty.
Arlie, thanks for joining us. It's been super fun. I really appreciate your time, and go follow Farley's Refrigeration on LinkedIn. Enter that drawing. And if you when you see him at Rita or IR, go say hey, introduce yourself, and keep your phone on silent because he's not kidding. You will see an email. And anyways, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate it. Y'all be good. Thank you.